Some days, the NFL gives you the behind-the-scenes story without even cracking the door open. When NFL Network puts New England in 3 showcase games, that is not just love. That is a message. The Patriots are must-watch again. And underneath all that noise, this defense is getting smarter, the offensive line is searching for real protection, and one possible receiver swing could shake up the entire market. Hit that like button because today we are talking like people who understand Foxborough is making the league uncomfortable again. The most interesting part of this whole story is not just seeing the Patriots named in big games, it is seeing who is driving that conversation. When Eric Edholm from NFL Network puts New England right there with Seattle as one of the teams showing up the most in the matchups he wants to watch, that tells you the league is treating this team differently now. This is not that polite curiosity anymore, like, let's see if Mike Vrabel can clean this thing up. No, this is something bigger. Spotlight, ratings, expectations. And think about how wild that turnaround really is. In 2024, a lot of people looked at the Patriots like a franchise still trying to find its way out of the dark, with no real clue if the new path was actually leading anywhere. Then 2025 happened. Vrabel came in, Drake Maye took a jump, the locker room bought in, and suddenly New England was marching through the AFC all the way to the Super Bowl. Did losing to Seattle hurt? Of course it hurt, and it hurt even more because of how it happened. But inside NFL circles, just getting there changed the way people look at this team. That is why the game list matters. The rematch with the Seahawks is not just a Super Bowl rematch, it is a pride test. It is a chance to show that one score did not define this team's ceiling. The AFC Championship rematch carries a different kind of weight, because every conference rival now wants to prove New England was only a one-year explosion. And Bills at Gillette? That one has division venom all over it. Buffalo knows the Patriots' rise threatens the comfort zone they had for years. That is the price of becoming relevant again. When you turn into a showcase team, nobody catches you sleeping. Coordinators spend more time on your offense. Defenses study Drake Maye's habits under a microscope. Old rivals do not just want to beat you. They want to slow the rebuild down. They want to cut off the wave before it turns into control. And that is where I love Vrabel's profile. He understands respect in the NFL never comes clean. It comes with a target on your back, extra shots, loud stadiums, and a brutal schedule. So yes, the excitement is absolutely real. But inside Foxborough, that excitement has to turn into cold preparation, because the league is finally circling the Patriots in bold ink again. Now it is on New England to prove 2025 was not just some surprise ride, it was the warning. And when the conversation shifts from the schedule to the roster, there is one move that feels like it flew a little too low. Maybe because safety does not sell headlines like wide receiver, quarterback, or edge rusher. But inside a serious building, this is exactly the kind of signing that separates an exciting team from a ready team. Kevin Byard III coming to New England on a one-year deal does not feel like a luxury to me. It feels like an internal message. Because after getting handled by Seattle in the Super Bowl, the Patriots could not walk back into the meeting room and pretend all they needed was more talk, more confidence, and another natural year of growth. No, when you reach the biggest game and feel the opponent control too much of the rhythm, you look for players who change possessions, communication, and posture. Byard fits that package. Jordan Schultz called that signing one of the best under-the-radar moves of the offseason, and I completely understand the read, even if it is kind of funny to call a first-team All-Pro under the radar. The recent resume is heavy. In 2025 with Chicago, Byard had 93 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, 8 passes defended, and 7 interceptions. 7. That is not just a pretty stat on a player page. That is drives ending. That is quarterbacks hesitating before attacking the middle. That is offensive coordinators thinking twice before testing a window that used to look open. With Christian Gonzalez locking down one side, Carlton Davis III bringing strength on the other, Marcus Jones in the slot, and Craig Woodson growing after a very solid rookie year, putting Byard behind them changes the geometry of that secondary. And there is a competitive behind-the-scenes piece I really like here. Byard is not coming in to teach from a distance. He is coming in to play. Woodson started 15 games, had 3 passes defended, and recovered 2 fumbles, but he still did not have an interception. That does not knock the kid. It actually shows he can now learn next to a true ball hawk, a veteran who was All-Pro in 2017, 2021, and 2025. 3 times at that level puts his name in a much more serious conversation in the history of the position. For Vrabel, this smells like trust. He knows the value of veterans who organize a defense before the snap, fix angles, correct alignment, and make offenses pay for arrogance. And for a team now facing a tougher schedule, that is gold. Byard does not have to be the loudest star on the roster. He has to be the guy who shows up when the ball hangs, when the pass floats, when the game is 20-17 and one interception changes the season. That was a grown man signing. Now, if Byard is about taking the ball away, Caleb Lomu is about making sure nobody takes Drake Maye off his feet. And I know a tackle at the end of the first round does not make fans jump off the couch the same way an explosive receiver would, especially when New England already invested big in Will Campbell the year before. But when you look at what happened in the playoffs and remember how many hits Maye had to absorb, the conversation changes really fast. Lomu came out of Utah with a line that sounds simple, but inside Foxborough, it carries real weight. He sees himself as a tackle, left side or right side, and he is comfortable at both spots. To me, that is music for a staff that does not want to be trapped by one single offensive line combination, because today's NFL does not respect fixed sides. Myles Garrett moves around. Elite pass rushers hunt weakness. Defensive coordinators spend the week searching for the piece they can break. So if the player you took in the first round is willing to work both sides without drama, without ego, without a speech about his preferred position, you just bought real flexibility. The criticism of the trade-up was there, and I understand some of it. The Patriots needed a wide receiver. They needed pass rush too. Lomu was the 7th tackle taken in the first round, and that gave people room to say New England may have forced it. But draft rooms are not just public rankings. They are about how a team sees risk, future, and quarterback protection. Morgan Moses is not going to be there forever. James Hudson and Elijah Vera Tucker give you options, sure. But Lomu gives you a broader answer. If Campbell struggles, he can cover the left side. If Campbell settles in, he can grow as the long-term answer on the right. If injuries hit, he becomes the insurance that keeps the room from panicking. And there is another detail that cannot get lost. Pass protection production. Lomu was one of the most dominant tackles in recent college football, anchoring Utah's blind side while Spencer Fano handled the right side. He allowed only 2 sacks in his entire college career, and none in his final season. That does not guarantee instant NFL dominance because the physical and technical jump is brutal. But it shows New England did not just pick a big body, they picked a track record of control, patient feet, resistance, and very little room for disaster. To me, this pick speaks directly to the Patriots' new reality. If the league is putting New England in prime time, if defenses are going to build more aggressive plans against Maye, then the offensive line needs backup plans. A team trying to climb back to the top cannot depend on one perfect lineup and just hope nobody goes down. Lomu may not be the flashiest name of the offseason, but if he becomes the tackle who stabilizes the right side, covers emergencies on the left, and lets Maye play clean in December, fans are going to look back at this pick very differently. And now we get to the topic that makes every Patriots room louder: A.J. Brown. This story does not feel like some random rumor floating around anymore. It feels like people choosing words carefully, executives answering without opening the window too wide, reporters sniffing around movement, fans connecting dots, and everybody staring at the calendar. Adam Schefter put out the read that the Patriots and Eagles could reach an agreement after June 1, when the financial side makes more sense for Philadelphia. And when information like that starts moving around, nobody in Foxborough pretends they did not hear it. The most interesting part is the theater in the answers. Howie Roseman keeps repeating that A.J. Brown is an Eagle. Elliott Wolf stays in that lane of exploring every avenue to improve the team. Neither one of them is going to step on a stage and hand over the whole script before it is time. They know how the league works. They know one wrong sentence can become a problem. They know big negotiations breathe better away from definitive statements. But calculated silence also says something. And in this case, it says there is something sensitive enough that nobody wants to step wrong. Elliot Shore-Park saying what he said on WEEI poured fuel on the whole thing. The Eagles insider said his expectation is that Brown will be traded to the Patriots, and that everything he hears in Philadelphia points to AJ not being on the team, with New England expected as the destination. That is strong because it comes from someone connected to the Eagles side, not just Patriots fans dreaming big in the middle of May. And when you put that next to the roster clues, the picture gets even more interesting. New England did not draft a single wide receiver even after moving on from Stephon Diggs. They signed Romeo Doubs, but they still have not put a proven true number 1 in that room, while Philadelphia traded up for Mekhi Lemon and also brought in Dontavian Wicks. Now imagine Drake Maye with A.J. Brown, not as decoration, as the piece that changes the quarterback's life. Brown wins with physicality, over the middle, on contested catches, on slants that turn into 40-yard threats, and with intimidation before the snap. He has a strong relationship with Mike Vrabel from Tennessee. He grew up a Patriots fan, and there have even been reports about him looking into condos around the Seaport area. Each signal by itself could just be curiosity. Together, they become the kind of behind-the-scenes smoke that keeps fans awake. And I want to hear from Pats Nation. If this move happens after June 1, are you okay paying big for a target at that level, or would you rather protect the draft capital? Because to me, after reaching the Super Bowl, New England cannot act like a team scared of its own moment. If Brown is really within reach, this is not a luxury. This is putting a monster next to Maye and telling the AFC the offense is ready to hit back too. In the end, the behind-the-scenes script feels pretty clear. The Patriots are no longer a cute project. They are a league problem again. The NFL wants this team in major games. Byard is here to turn quarterback mistakes into extra possessions. Lomu is here to give Drake Maye more grown-up protection. And if A.J. Brown really puts on that jersey, New England forces its offense into another tier. Now it is preparation, courage, and execution. If you want to follow every move on this board with me, subscribe to the channel, turn on the bell, and stay right here, because Foxborough is working hard behind the curtain.